All right, next up, our next slammer serves as pastor of First Baptist Church, Berkeley, in the city of Norfolk. Yeah. He's also the founding president of D Tyree Ministries, a youth-focused ministry where teens 14 to 19 are nurtured and challenged along 5 critical areas: confidence, competence, compassion, community, and character. As a member of Toastmasters International, he's one project away from being recognized with the designation of Distinguished Toastmaster. His story is Pool of Fears. Please welcome to the stage the tall man telling tales, William D. Tyree III.
Have you ever been frightened, exhilarated, and reluctant all at the same time? I mean frightened, not like walking from that table up there to come to the stage to face a crowd of 50,000 people, but I mean frightened like the feeling that you get in your stomach where you're on the roller coaster and it's going up. And you know that there's going to be a sudden drop that's coming, but the train begins to jerk. Then all of a sudden it stops, 3/4 of the way up, and you just got this feeling because you know, but you can't really see where you are. You ever been exhilarated? Not excited because somebody said boo and scared you, but I mean exhilarated, like the feeling you get when you're in a plane and the plane is getting ready to take off. Although it's not a regular airplane, you're being catapulted off an aircraft carrier and you're going from 0 to 170 miles an hour in about 2 seconds. But you're not the pilot and you're not in the back seat, but you're down where the cargo is. There's not even a window down there, so you have no clue when it's coming. You ever been reluctant? I don't mean hesitant, but I mean when the worst comes to worse and your choices, you got to make one, but it's either worse or worser. Put them all together and you have my acronym for fear. Frightened, exhilarated, and reluctant. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a story about the Pool of Fears. July the 5th, 1979, I was inducted in the United States Naval Academy with the class of 1983. And on May 26, 1983, I graduated. A lot of days between July the 5th, 1979 and May 26, 1983, but there's one day I will never forget, and that's the day that stood between me and graduation. And that was the day that I had to face my fears and do the tower jump. Now, I'm not afraid of water, even though I really hadn't been in water deeper than what I could stand up in. And I'm not afraid of heights. I'm not even afraid of falling, but I am afraid of that sudden stop at the end. Life at the Naval Academy, for those of you who might not be familiar, is really divided into 3 different aspects. 1/3 of your life is academics. 1/3 of your life is professional and moral development. 1/3 of your life is physical fitness and education, and that involves swimming. And each year you have different benchmarks that you have to make when it comes to swimming until finally, before you can graduate and be commissioned, you have to do the tower jump. There are progressive stages from each year. I don't have time because I'm frightened, exhilarated, and reluctant just thinking about it. So I'll talk about the major one that you have to do when you graduate. The whole notion and the idea is that at some point You might be upon a ship that is taking on water and it becomes a casualty in the water, and rather than drown, you have to abandon ship. Well, I always thought that I just wait till it got down to the surface level, then just kind of walk off. But if you ever saw the movie Titanic, you know that suction force is so strong, you really can't outswim that, so you have to jump. Now, I don't know how high the deck of an aircraft carrier is from the waterline, but I do know how high the tower jump is. It seems like, it seems like it's just way up there like Empire State Building high, but it really isn't. It's only 10 meters. And 10 meters really is about a little taller than a 2.5-story building that you have to jump off. And you got to jump off wearing your uniform. I'm sorry, that's the wrong uniform. It's got to be navy blue. You're wearing your uniform and you're 90 feet up in the air. And believe it or not, there are men and women who, with a 4.0 average, have excelled professionally and in moral development, do not graduate, do not get commissioned because they cannot do and they do not do the tower jump. If you can imagine, there are progressive stages that go from your first year, second, third, up to your senior year. Now, I don't know how high I'm standing up here now, but I'm going to guess and say maybe it's about 3.5 feet off the floor. Well, that's from foot level. You add another 6 feet to that, what eyes see, and now we've got a disconnect because even though it's only 3 feet, the feet are not seeing what the eyes are seeing. And so the eyes are telling the brain, you are at least 12 feet from the bottom. And so we can't take this step, even though from that perspective, it's just that high. If you can imagine what it's like being 33 feet up in the air, and you're supposed to walk to the edge and look down, make sure that it's clear, and then take that leap of faith into the pool of fears. Man, I tell you, my palms were sweating. My heart was racing fast, and I was scared half to death. You're wearing this. You have to swim into the pool to go around to where the stairs are. And as you're climbing this zigzag tower, soaking wet, the guy up ahead of you, whose bottom you're seeing, is dripping all over you as you mentally process what life is going to be like once I get to the top of this platform. Now, the coach is a big burly man, and he's standing at the edge of the platform, making sure that everything is safe down in the bottom before you go. You're supposed to come and walk to the edge. You're supposed to look, make sure it's clear, then you're supposed to take that step, cross your legs, kind of tuck your face in, and take the plunge down. Now, what you don't want to do is you don't want to look down. You want to know why? Because when you have nothing to balance yourself on and you start looking down, you start leaning down, and all of a sudden you go from like this to like that into the pool. So I'm thinking, you know, the worst couldn't get the worse. What if I just end up doing a belly flop from 90 feet in the sky? Well, if I die, I'm okay with that. But then somebody says, that might not be the worst thing. The worst thing is you could break all your bones and live. I wasn't ready for that. But you've got to do it in order to be able to graduate. You've come through 4 hard years of obstacle courses, of going on service specialties with ships and submarines. You've been in a water tower having to go ho, 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 simulating an escape from a submarine and going up and being slapped around to make sure you're saying ho, 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 right, so that you don't drown. You've been in a simulator tank where an aircraft plunges into the water and flips upside down and turn yourself loose. But if you don't do this jump, you won't graduate. So I determined, after having some difficulty with the small 2-meter board, after having some difficulty with a 5-meter board, I wasn't going to let this stand. I come too far not to graduate. And so I'm standing in line. If you can imagine, the length of the platform is almost about the length of the width of this stage, and I'm standing in line. And I've decided that in order for us to do this, because my eyes are going to tell my mind that you can't do this, so I need to reduce the amount of think time that I have. So I'm not going to come to the edge and stop. They're going to have to gig me on that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take off walking, and I'm not going to stop. The next thing I know, I'm going to be in the water. Because if I stop, I won't do it. So I'm wrestling back and forth. Can I do that? Can I do that? Can I do that? Can I do that? Then all of a sudden, Dennis DeBerry comes up there, and it's his turn to jump, and he looks and goes, oh my God, I can't do it. And he walks back, and I'm like, oh man, he's done messed with my mind again. Till finally, Dennis has to stand to the side. I'm like, oh, please, he's got to go ahead and go get out the way. And then the next thing, everybody is done in front of me. I'm standing about this far. The platform is there. The coach looks at me and he says, okay, next. And I start walking, and I walk, and I walk, and I walk. And when I go across the edge, I cross my legs, and we go down into the pool. And then you kind of loop under. The next thing you know, I'm on the top, and I'm like, graduation. 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 Frightened, exhilarated, and reluctant. Fear is real, but it can be overcome. And there are 3 ways you can overcome it. First of all, fear is an emotion, and like any emotion, it can be calmed down and talked down. Secondly, there's something that motivates the fear, and research and understanding what it is that you have to face is a way of being able to confront it, and then you can begin to practice, practice, practice. Practice doesn't make perfect, but perfect practice does make perfect. So if you practice the right way of those things that are tailored toward what has you fearful, you can overcome it. Then thirdly, you don't have to worry about the worst, but focus on the best. Because if you worry about the worst, you'll hear stuff like, well, 90% of the stuff we worry about doesn't happen anyway. Well, that's true, but it's enough in that 10% to scare the crap out of you. So focus on the best. Don't focus on the negative. My fears, frightened, exhilaration, and reluctance, drowned in the pool on that day. And ladies and gentlemen, that's my story.